It is fairly widely known that Leeds United, the mighty Whites, will need some reinforcements over the summer, and that is true in a good few positions. It's not like we just need a number 9 and then we're sorted. There is a decent amount to be done, and there is a chance of doing well in terms of getting a chunk of that work done from one single club, because Leeds United are reportedly linked with a £55 million Liverpool duo that I think could be fairly good, but we'll have to have a little bit of a conversation about that after I ask you to like the video and subscribe. I'm trying to get to 6,000 relatively sharpish. So if you could help out, that'd be massively appreciated. Or become a channel member. It's £2.99 for a month, and all of my channel revenue right now is going towards the charity match, the link for which is down below. Buy a ticket. It's a good time. Anyway, hopping into it, this news has been learned from a few different sources who aren't people that just publish their stuff. It's various people that I've gotten to know throughout time doing this, and it's verified by basically all of them that I know that could potentially be linked to the situation. And Leeds are seemingly being quoted a price for both of these players combined rather than just individual prices, which is why I'm packaging these into one video rather than trying to be a bit of a cheesy boy and do it in two. First up is one that you might not have particularly expected. It is Costas Tsimikas. Costas Tsimikas is one of those interesting cases of players that are very, very promising, get a move to a top 6 side, then find out that they're not in the first 11, so it becomes very, very difficult to sort of keep that limelight and keep your momentum going. He's had 1,586 minutes in all competitions this season, and to be fair to the guy, his numbers aren't too bad. He's in the top 3% of all fullbacks for expected assists per 90. His tackling and interception numbers are both in the top 20% of all fullbacks. I think it's his interceptions. Yeah, he's in the top 5% for interceptions, which means that he's going to do the defensive side of things very well. But something that I think could go relatively underrated with Tsimikas is that his passing is very, very reliable. Tries a lot of passes. His pass completion rate is very good, but his progressive passing is what's really good. Per 90, he makes 7 progressive passes, which puts him in the top 3% of all fullbacks for that statistic, which tells you that he's someone that's going to get up the pitch and he's going to help your team to get up the pitch at the same time. Defends well, goes forwards very well, and normally you'd look at that and say, well, that's going to be really, really tough to get out of his club. They might not want to sell him because all these behind-the-scenes numbers are really good. The issue is he's set to become probably the third choice at Liverpool, because Robertson is already there, is a little bit higher in the pecking order, and they look like they are wanting to sign Milos Kerkez at the same time. Kerkez, who is a very, very, very good footballer. I think it's currently Bournemouth that he's at. I'll have a look just to check. He is. But they're looking at Kerkez for the left, Frimpong for the right, completely revamping the way they're doing their fullback positions because Alexander-Arnold is leaving. Robertson looks a bit wobbly from time to time. And that would put Tsimikas in third place, which means that he's going to want some football that he's not going to get at Liverpool anymore. With him probably leaving, it means that Liverpool are going to put him in the shop window, and he's got a reported valuation of around £20 million, which is genuinely not the worst value, but we might be better looking elsewhere. However, you might notice that £20 million does not make up the biggest of chunks when you're talking about £55 million. That is because we need to talk about the biggie, the big number, the big cause of the big number, and that would be Caoimhin Kelleher. Sorry. How did I get the first name but not the second? Or is it Caoimhin? Caoimhin Kelleher. I've talked to Joe about this before. I think it's Caoimhin, but I'll roll with it. It's fine. 26-year-old goalkeeper. You've all heard the name because he's been linked to various places quite a lot because he is probably going to be leaving Liverpool, and his statistics are frankly ridiculous. He's in the top 14% of goalkeepers in terms of expected goals conceded versus his actual goals against. So he's very, very good at keeping decent shots out of his goal. And his save percentage is also very, very strong, putting him firmly in, I think, roughly the top quartile, top 25-ish%, depending on what source you're looking at. In addition to that, he is a very rotational player because that's the sort of position he's going to be in because he's at Liverpool and it's very hard to start at Liverpool. But whenever he's been called upon, he has been very, very reliable. However, quite like Costas Tsimikas, he's going to become the third choice because you've got Alisson at the club who is too good to be gotten rid of, But there's also Mamardashvili, who is coming in. Mamardashvili, who weirdly, I think, was it an Order of Merit that he has or something? I'm just going to very, very quickly check this because it was a really, really fun fact. Yeah, sorry. He's got an Order of Honor from the Georgian government, which is a hell of a thing to have. But he has been signed by Liverpool, is going to be presumably playing a very, very big role, either starting or fighting to be starting. Ridiculously good goalkeeper, and that is just going to knock Kelleher down the order, which is not what you want to see if you're Kevin Kelleher. He's got 1 year left on his contract as well. You would have thought if Liverpool want to keep him around, they would have extended that by now. And this is where that 1 year on his contract starts to get confusing, because I've heard him individually valued from various media sources. I think Sky maybe have reported this. I'm not 100% sure. But I've heard him be valued at £40 million alone. Just him. Which is weird, because he's got 1 year on his contract and Liverpool aren't going to use him unless they plan on using him throughout the next season. But in that case, why have you got Mamardashvili in? And it's where it becomes a combination where if you're getting the two together, it will likely put you to 55 million quid. If you're buying them separately, about 60, which means that combined, Leeds would save about 5 million quid, which is not a bad saving, but let's be honest, that is probably not worth it. Because specific examples that I've pulled out, Matt Sells, who went to Forest, was only 5 million quid, and he is overperforming like his life depends on it. I'll have a look at Sells' numbers at the moment. There it is. Again, overperforming post-shot XG against very strong save percentage, about as good as Kelleher. Admittedly, longer balls, Kelleher prefers to do the short passing stuff, but that's 5 million quid, which is a big gap to 55, even adding a left back. And I've also had a little bit of Ortega chat, Leeds potentially being interested in Stefan Ortega at Manchester City, German goalkeeper, very, very decent when called upon, quite like Kelleher, especially for replacing Edison when he has his moments. But for me, hearing these specific numbers, I was researching to see goalkeepers don't cost that much, do they? No. These two combined goalkeepers that are very good goalkeepers are 13 million quid. Kelleher being valued at, let's be honest, 35 if we're including the discount, is probably not worth it. And it's the same story at left back. There are options, because I think Kirkes I've seen about 30 million euros touted for, or was that Frimpong? But even Frimpong at 30 million euros is a good deal compared to these two for 55. And the general line of thought that I've got along this sort of discussion is the last thing that we need to be doing as a club is getting ripped off because we've seen a recognizable name and gone, I like that. Whereas the smaller names are going to come with a smaller fee, but they can be just as good. Admittedly, hard to find those gems, but I would take Tanaka, who cost us 3.5 million quid, over what's his blooming name? Give me 1 second whilst I find out. There we go, found it. I would take a Tanaka for £3 and a bit million over Enzo Lafay, for example. Enzo Lafay being a bigger name, sure, but a bigger name that will cost you about 20 million euros compared to the 4 or 5 that we spent for Tanaka. A bigger name doesn't always equal more talent, and that's what we need to keep in mind, and we need to spend smartly. If we do sign these players, then sure, I'll get behind them, as I do with any Leeds players, but in the immediate term, I don't think they're the right choice for us. But at the end of the day, as always, that's just what I think. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. It's always massively appreciated. Become a channel member. You get stuff like this video early. I'm filming this at 1:40 in the morning, and it'll release publicly at about 7 a.m. I'm planning on recording these at a more sane time so members get more of a lead, but who knows. And yeah, subscribe if you're not yet. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you later. Toodaloo. Also, buy tickets for the charity match. It's massively appreciated if you do, and it really, really helps. Having those numbers in advance means that we can sort security and safety and everything and make sure that we don't get told off by the venue. And maybe we can do another one next year. That'd be great. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. See you later.